Just a quick video to show you what I'm doing in an attempt to stop the wastegate sticking on a CT26 turbo when fitting one of these cheap toyosports decap pipes. I've undone the circlip on the lever for the wastegate, and on originally checking, what was happening is when you got to a certain position, the wastegate was coming out so far and then it was sticking on the side of the housing as that goes on there, and it was actually sticking on this edge on the inside here. So what I've done is I've actually taken it back somewhat with a soft pad and then a polishing end on a drill, just to give me that tiny bit more clearance, because evidently it's catching on the flange itself rather than the back of the pipe as I originally presumed. I checked this by putting a piece of masking tape in the back there to see where it fouled. It didn't foul here, it fouled on the edge of the inner flange. Then what I've done is, because I'm still checking, I've also just lightly filed the edge, the two edges here, one of which is loose on purpose. Just filed these two edges here so that I've got that slight extra bit of clearance. Then what I've done is I have added the cat again to see where the wastegate stops, and then I've put a mark on the tip of the wastegate arm on the mr2 turbo, and then on the decap pipe, and then evidently that's with no gaskets whatsoever, and there's no stick now. It simply hits the back of the, let me give you a better angle. It now simply hits the back of the decap pipe rather than getting so far then sticking. So then I've added one aftermarket gasket in order to give me, simulate what will happen and the gap between the end of the turbo and the decap when that then is installed. And the mark what I had before between here on the decap pipe and the end of the arm for the actuator for the window that's in the exhaust side of the turbo is probably about 3 or 4 mil further down, which means the actuator is able to open that little bit more. Then my idea is going to be, depending on clearance with the decap pipe against the oil filter housing, is to actually add another gasket. So then I've got 2 gaskets, which in theory should nip up no problem. Placing the decap back on the exhaust side of the CT26 turbo once again, ensuring that the decap is pushed fully towards this side of the turbo, because there's actually a bit of back and forth play. So provided that you get the turbo, get the decap on the turbo pushed this direction towards the camera, towards the arm of the actuator on the exhaust side of the turbo, provided you get it pushed over there as hard as you can, there's actually no problem with that clearing anything inside the decap whatsoever. That's full action of the actuator now, and I can prove that by, that's the closed position, that's the open position. If I then take the decap off, you can see that the arm physically won't move any further that way. So I'm going through the full motion of the actuator arm, even though the actuator itself probably won't need to open it to the full extent. If it does, then it has the room now in order to fully open and close without fouling on the inside of one of these cheap aftermarket toyosport eBay purchase decap pipes. So once again, what I've done is I've machined the edge of this flange here so it's smoother, and the actuator's window in the exhaust side of the turbo has the room to move back and forth. I've took the edge off the actuator window itself, you can just see it in the bottom of the shot there, and then I've also actually put these in the vise in this position, 2 gaskets, and then just took a soft pad and took probably 1/2 mil to 1 mil off this edge around here, which should have no effect on the actual function of the gasket. My only concern is that by putting 2 gaskets together, there might be a slight exhaust leak, but then that's what gaskets are. They are a multi-layered metal gasket. So where I've got 2 metal gaskets sandwiching the soft material in the middle, I've now got 4 metal gaskets sandwiching 2 layers of the soft material in the middle. I don't see any issue with that being put on there to give me the extra room for my actuator window to open fully, and then my decat to be positioned in the correct position, moved over all the way to the actuator of the arm, and then the facility, and then having the room to go the full throw of the actuator window in the exhaust side of the turbo, and doing exactly what it should with no risk of catching or actually sticking open, as these have been known to do. And that is just my attempt at solving this problem that happens with these Toyosport aftermarket cheap decat pipes for the mr2 3S GTE engine.